Hi, friends. I'm back for some more artist conversations. And today I have a little bit of a surprise. I'm going to be interviewing two artists instead of one. We have Michael, who's a musician, and Ralph, who's a metalsmith. And I'll be waiting for them to come on. So I'll resume the recording in just a little bit. Okay, welcome, Ralph and Michael.
Hi, Susie.
It's good to have you both here. This is the first time I'm trying this, so I hope it all goes smoothly. I don't think either of you have met each other. I have met Ralph in person because he actually lives in the community I live in,
Ah,
but I've never met you, Michael. We've met on Facebook.
we've met on Facebook. That seems to be where a lot of my meetings have been over the past year or so.
Thank you for your interest in doing this and
Sure.
having this conversation.
Okay.
Let's get started. I'm just going to ask initially each of you, I don't know who would like to start first, to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and why you do what you do.
Okay.
Who'd like to start?
I'll start if that's okay.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. My name is Michael Joseph. My artist name is kmichaeljoseph. That's a long story in and of itself that I'll spare you all. I actually did not start as a musician. I came to this very late in life, maybe 7, 8 years ago, but I always had this sort of creative spark. I actually started as a playwright, novelist, screenwriter many, many years ago. I learned a lot doing that. Nothing quite happened with that, but music just sort of like fell in my lap. I played piano as a kid, played classical piano. I was never quite able to move over into pop or jazz, but I had kind of a lot of classical in my background. And I started playing music at a friend's party. I just took my guitar. I wasn't really a guitar player, and I just started playing, and they suggested I go to an open mic, and I did that. I almost ran off the stage. I was so terrified, but I held my feet to the fire and I did it. And I stayed terrified of performing for about a year, but I kept with it. And songwriting actually came quite by accident also. I'm always looking for accidents in the universe to sort of push me along a little bit. I was due to play in a cafe in Saline, Michigan. And about 4 weeks before I was to play, the guy said, "Oh, by the way, you can't do any cover songs. You have to do just originals." I only had one original to my name. And so, do I back out or do I try to write 8 or 9 originals in 4 weeks? So I chose the latter. And that basically started my songwriting career. I had no idea. Again, this wasn't even plan B, C, or D in my life. And I just kind of took off from there.
Amazing. Uh, what did you do before you wrote music?
I'm a therapist. That's my day job. I feel very fortunate. I have a lucrative day job because if I want to just put out a CD or buy a new instrument, it's right there. I don't have to hustle or anything like that. And again, I did novel. I wrote a couple novels, several plays, a screenplay. Nothing happened with them, but it really sort of helps with my songwriting considerably. Maybe we can talk about that later on down the line. So.
Interesting. So you're a therapist as in a psychologist?
Yes,
Wow.
yes, psychotherapist. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It,
that's
it in and of itself provides a lot of materials for my song.
sure. I'm sure. Wow, that's so fascinating. Well, thank you for sharing that with.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, Ralph.
Yes, my mother got me interested in art when I was 10 years old, and I got interested in shop class, of course, in high school, and I got really interested when they got into the metal portion of it, where you had to make a metal bowl, and I've been working with metal since then, either jewelry or a small sculpture,
Nice.
and I find my I really don't have any written down plan of how I execute things. I just in my daily life, I just see something and say, hey, that looks nice. That needs to be done in metal.
Mhm. Can I say something to Ralph? Can I ask Ralph a question? You know,
Sure.
I was able to see some of your work. Susie was very kind to show me, and it has quite a dramatic quality. At least the presentation. I want to say I was quite impressed by it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, Michael had mentioned that he is a synesthete.
I have a little bit of synesthesia, just a touch of it, and I actually draw a lot of inspiration from painting. And I discovered this going to the art museum at the University of Michigan, and I was looking at an abstract painting, and I was hearing it. It was just kind of and I realized, oh yeah, this is something. And when I create, you know, I'm not the best musician in the world, but I create with shapes, you know, in my hands, shapes in my hands, and I see patterns sometimes when I'm creating something, and I put them together. It's a sort of an odd little quirky. It's not a strong thing. It's not strong synesthesia, but it's just a little bit, you know. And I wanted to see your work, Ralph, because I wanted to see if I could hear it, but
Oh,
but
great.
I
I like that idea.
but I couldn't hear anything. But it was so it was dramatic all the same.
That was my next question. Did you
I
hear?
make a lot of noise when I make it.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
It was worth a try anyway.
It
So
was worth a try. I'm always putting my ear to something, and
Great. Glad you listen to my work.
yes, I was. I might have to take another listen, you know, when it's quieter around here.
so now, once Ralph listens to your work, he's gonna try and create a piece from that.
I would love it.
Yes,
You know,
great.
I would showcase it. Definitely would showcase
That
it.
would be amazing. Actually, that was going to be my next question is your process. And I don't know, maybe Ralph, if you wanted to just, it doesn't have to be written down or anything, just, going by memory, like what happened every time you're called to create a piece? Like, what are the things that happen? How do you get the inspiration? And where do you take that?
Yes, what I do is I sit down with a piece of metal, start just have a basic idea of basic framework of what I want to make, and I start pounding away, and I let the metal take me where it takes me. So I'll pound a shape into the metal. The metal will form in a specific way, and I'll just carry on with it.
It sounds like it's very easy for you to access that state that we call flow, since you just go with what's wanting to come.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Much,
I don't have to dig for it. It's already there.
there's not too much thought going into your process.
Right. Exactly.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
You, Michael,
You know, it's actually very similar in some ways. I mean, I'm not trained in music theory. I don't, you know, come out. In fact, when I decide, and I don't wait for inspiration, I decide, okay, it's time for me to write a song, and I sit down and I just start writing, you know, a song. And for me, I usually sit down at the piano, sometimes a guitar, and I just start playing around with it, and a certain shape will hit my hand that will go along with a certain sound, and that shape will then determine everything, you know, from the overall the melody to the storyline that happens, you know, because I did a lot of writing, playwriting or whatever. Most of my songs have some dramatic tension to them, some story involved with them, and then once I get the story down and I can write it, then I'll texture it with different kinds of sounds, whether I'll create myself or I'll sample or whatever. With my synthesizer, I have a palette of literally 10,000 sounds at my fingertips. I only use probably about 15 of them, but I do have 10,000, if I want them. But again, kind of like you, Ralph, in some ways, I let the work sort of grow organically. I don't have
Mhm.
a pre-planned. I think the only time I had a pre-planned song was when I decided I needed a vampire song, and that was probably the only time that I had a pre-planned song. It was on Halloween. So, but for the most part, it's a similar process. I just, I start usually with a bass line, and that bass line will determine, a lot of what happens after that. In fact, a
Right.
little later, I can almost demonstrate that if you wanted. So anyway,
So interesting. I don't know if you know the psychology of it. Like what happens there? What happens with that?
what happens with, I don't know if you're asking me or asking Ralph.
Yeah,
I
I
can't.
know.
I can't see where you're looking.
Well,
It could be both places. I'll start, and then you can go with that, Ralph. I think because I started so late with music, I have a lot of music in my background. Everything from classical to jazz to Frank Sinatra crooning to free jazz to rock and roll to heavy metal. And so all of that is just kind of in the stew, in the pot of what I have. Now I'm not the craftsman musician that a lot of musicians are, but I have those sounds in me. And once I get a bass line, something will kind of generate from that. And you, Ralph, have been doing this since 10 years old. So you probably have a lot of things in your fingers
Oh,
and
all the
hands.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Exactly.
I love
Uh,
that
you
explanation.
spoke earlier about tension, showing tension in your music, and that's one of the things I try to do with all my work is I'll see the metal twist in some way, and I'll try and show it more, show the tension more, tension or energy, the energy in the piece.
Yeah, I could see that in a couple of your necklaces, particularly against the black. It was really beautiful against the black, but I could see those little turns, and they were subtle. But those subtle turns actually
Right.
add more tension than if they're too dramatic.
Exactly. I try to make it look. I don't try to push it at people. I just show it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was really appreciative of that. I really noticed that.
Do you
Good.
have
Good.
pieces
Thank you.
handy? Do you have some pieces handy, Ralph, that you can just show?
I have one that
I'm sure they'll go to your website, but just for the sake of this video, this way we provide some visuals.
this is the one that I have just standing right here. I'll show it to you.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I do a lot of copper forming
Nice.
like this.
Yeah.
I'll make a die and then pound. I'll make the outline
Beautiful.
and then pound the metal into it.
So what is that going to be? What is that going
It's a
to?
fish. It's going to
Well,
be a small sculpture.
it's going to be a small sculpture. Okay.
Right. It's going to go on a wall.
Okay.
I'm thinking even maybe of putting in a frame, making a frame for it,
Yeah, that would be nice. Copper is really beautiful.
so it could hang on the wall.
Very nice. Thank you for showing us. I was wondering too, like, I like the way that you said that, the music is in us because of how long we've been listening to it. So it just got this idea in my head that I wonder actually how many artists out there are actually working in this way where they're actually retaining all that music they listen to and then it's coming out in their paintings.
I would think a lot. I mean, you as a painter, you must have studied art history. You must have
Yeah.
copied the greats or whatever. We store all of that. And this is why I think, sometimes issues of plagiarism are really tricky because, I'm sure I have sounds that someone else has created, but I have no idea, where in that stew they have come from, and with something like rock and roll, if you have four basic chords, you have 5,000 songs right there at your fingertips. You can only do so much with four chords, but again, we collect all of that, I think, in our unconscious. And I think the more conscious we can make that, the better off we can be. But there's a stew in there that we're drawing from.
Yeah, well, that's the idea of archetypes that Carl Jung talks about too. The
Yeah.
archetypes that are stored in the unconscious mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Cycling them. Like there's nothing new under the sun. It's all been done before and all been created before or something like that.
Right. Exactly. You know, can I ask you I have a question? I have a lot of questions for you, Ralph. You know, is this okay, Susie? If I ask some questions?
Definitely,
Okay.
please. This
Okay.
way it takes the pressure off of me.
I mean, do you sometimes when you create something, do you hear or feel a story behind? Like I noticed those two earrings you had. There were two earrings on your page, and I thought, God, I wonder what the story is behind these earrings, or is there a story within them? I don't know if you know what earrings I'm talking about.
I think I have an idea. Is it one of the twisted ones or
Yeah,
something
they look like
twisted?
figures. They look like figures. I was looking at them on my phone, so I couldn't quite.
Okay. It's probably the I don't have it here, but it's probably from a die that looks like a little girl.
Okay.
Yeah, I press metal into the die.
Oh, interesting.
Something like this.
Ah. Okay.
Oh, that's
Or I press the metal
very cool.
into there.
Okay.
So it's like a mold.
Yes, yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, you're right. I have little stories behind things. Once I don't realize them until I start making them. I said, "Oh yeah, this reminds me of a story."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And we are storytellers, you know, for better and for worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Thank you for sharing your processes with me. My next question is, what are your biggest fears? Yes.
My dog interfering with this. That's one of them.
That's what animals do around the house.
That's what animals do. Exactly. Are you asking as an artist or in general?
Yeah, as
Or
an
both?
art, like when it comes to making your art, what is your biggest fear? Or do you even have a fear around your art?
My
Yes.
biggest fear would
Go
be.
ahead. I'm going to deal with her. Sorry.
Okay. My biggest fear would be something simple like hitting my fingers with my hammer.
Oh.
That's
but nothing major more than that.
That's legitimate.
Just safety.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't quite have to worry about that with a piano, other than, you know, maybe dropping it on my foot, you know,
Yeah.
or something like that. But I think my fear, you know, is related to my weakness as an artist. You know, I'm not a brilliant craftsperson when it comes to. I think I'm very expressive with what I do, but you know, I sometimes have a fear that I might want to go someplace with what I'm doing, and I might not be able to pull it off, you know, because, you know, I'm kind of a little bit weak in terms of that part of my art, you know, what I do. I think my other fear is that nobody would hear it.
Okay. I mean, all those are valid, but wouldn't you say that it's more about the process itself than the actual result? Like, if you're happy making what you're making, who cares? Right.
Yeah, I like to tell myself that, you know, and I think there's definite truth within that. But you know, for me, you know, part of creation is the expression of it. And even if it's just one person who says, "Wow, you know, that moved me," or that made me think of something in my past. Maybe that's the therapist coming out in me. But that's really what I want, you know, with my music, for someone to kind of go inside a little bit and think about, you know, their life, their loves, their history, their past, you know, to engage themselves on some deeper level. Even my song about vampires, you know, in some respects there was something, you know, within that, you know, So, I want to, kind of hit someone, even if it's just one person. I don't need to make $1 million. If that's not going to happen.
Right.
I don't need to be in front of Shea Stadium or whatever. Would I like it? Yeah, but it is about the process. But I want to at least touch one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I look for. Almost all I look for. If I don't, I'm not obsessed with making millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just, I'll just enjoy it if one or two people enjoy my things.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly. And there are millions of brilliant musicians. There truly are artists out there. And so, one thing different about music than say playwriting is if I get a gig, I at least have a guaranteed audience, whether they're listening or not. I send a play out, to a place. They have 4 or 5 plays a season, 1,000 playwrights sending in something to them, and maybe I'll get a response back, but more often than not.
Mm.
So music actually suits me, my ego, a little bit in terms of that.
So much competition out there and everything, I would say, not just
Right.
music.
Right. But you're right, Susie. The process is, when I'm involved in writing a song, it's just a wonderful feeling, because, for me, and I don't know if this is true for you. I mean, and it must be because you're very kinesthetic, with what you do, Ralph. For me, it involves storytelling, hearing shapes in my hand, just exploring the sounds, the palette on my keyboard or whatever. And it's actually a really exciting process.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And as far as kinesthetic, just making things, filing them or whatever, working on them, working on the metal, whatever. Just feeling the metal and letting it take shape.
Yeah. I'm actually a closet sculptor. If I could do it again, I would love to. I would love to in another life work with my hands, in that way. But I only have so much time in my day, unfortunately.
Right. That's one bad thing about it. It takes whatever my processes are, might take a day or two or longer.
Right.
So you got to wait until you see your process or your end product.
Yeah. Well, I say if you're called to sculpture, try it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can find the time.
Right. Well, I didn't know music was in it for me, and an opportunity opened its door and I just kind of walked in or
Yeah.
backed in. I'm not sure whether I walked in, I kind of backed in.
Great. And just in the past few weeks, I found a guitar for free. Well, I traded what I had for a guitar, and
Ah,
I've been playing or trying to play flute since I was in high school.
Nice.
oh, fabulous.
But for some reason, music is or playing music is getting me interested in playing music lately has been on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. It seems like all the creative types have some sort of like a music instrument that they like to play. Plus, whether it's a drum or whatever it is, plus their major medium that they're working with every day almost.
Right,
That's really fascinating to me. I
right,
guess
right.
the arts always go hand in hand, it seems.
Right, exactly.
So, can I ask what your goals are for your art?
Sure,
What do
sure.
you like
I'm
to see happen for you?
I'm a student over at Wayne State University right now. I'm a senior there. After this, it'll just be like my art. I'll just let the let the bachelor's degree take me where I am, where I will, where I'm going to go. But I have dreams of going all over the world and teaching people how to make jewelry. But I don't know if that'll work out. or at least showing people how to make jewelry or do what I do.
Well, I'll be your first student. I've been wanting to learn how to make jewelry and it's just not working out. I actually signed up for a workshop a couple of months ago when I went to Grand Haven and they canceled it, but I had booked my trip, so I ended up going and not doing the workshop.
Oh,
So yeah, I'll learn. You found a student.
good.
How about you, Michael?
I'm asked that question frequently, and I'm always puzzled by how to answer it, because I mean what I come to is I just want to keep creating till the day I die. I just and hopefully it will get out there in the world somehow, whether through radio or gigs or live streaming or dead streaming or whatever happens there. But this does get to the process part of it, is that there's something very enlivening for me to be involved in creating something. My senses are alive even as I walk around in the world. I hear things with more vibrancy. I see things, I taste things. My senses are just more alive with that. And that to me, I guess, is the value. Maybe it's flow state. Maybe if I want to say, there's something really exciting about being in that state. It's almost like prayer for me in some ways. And so I hope I can kind of keep on doing this. If I make some money off of it, okay, that would be great. But I don't know if that's really my goal for it. I think I'd be setting myself up for a lot of disappointment if that was my goal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a beautiful thing in itself. I mean, just being able to do what you do. I think that's like a blessing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Um, I always feel like I'm blessed despite that, times are tough, but it's just
Right.
a feeling.
Right.
So I'm kind of guessing after this conversation that if I asked, would you still want to, if there was such a thing as reincarnation, would you still want to come back as an artist or doing what you're doing right now? Would you still want to be that? And if not, what would it be?
Oh yes, definitely. I don't know what I'd be doing, but I want to come back as an artist.
Yeah, it's a tough, there's filled with obstacles and rejections and things that go along, but I would also within this, I went years when I didn't write, when I didn't create in some ways, and I realized how much I missed it. It was so much a part of who I am and how I see myself. I mean, there are people who have artistic temperaments. I see that in my practice, but they don't have a medium for themselves, and they're continuously searching in some respects. I feel fortunate that actually I found music, because playwriting wasn't doing it for me, although I learned a lot with that, and I think all of my writing prepared me for this in a very quirky, unexpected kind of way.
Yeah, yeah, nice. Um, what has art taught you both? Or your form of art, what has it taught you?
How to listen.
Oh yes, how to listen and how to look at things and look at everything in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, I think art, it twists the world just a little bit. I think most artists I know are a little quirky in terms of how they see the world, but that's good. That's a good quirkiness, because you just sort of step outside, just
Exactly.
just a little bit. I'm more in my senses, not so much in my head. It's it's I think it's taught me kind of how to live in just a little bit different way than other folks, how to see things with just a little bit different eye.
Nice.
And that's helped me as a therapist.
Yeah.
And it's challenged me to look at things. It's challenged me to look at things and think and ask myself how I try and reverse engineer it, how I'd make that out of metal
Hmm.
or even wood or whatever.
Nice. Yeah. That's beautiful. So what blocks your process and what inspires you? What are the things that make you like feel like you're unable to create what you want to create, and what are the things that make you pull through and like, okay, I'm just doing this and it's working? And
Yes. I don't know. I'm trying to find that out myself because I'll start something and stop it. Won't go any farther until I'm impressed again. Start up again. I like to start something and go all the way through it, but that never happens or rarely happens.
Yeah. I mean, starting a new project is always exciting. You know, it's like that first kiss or something like that. You
Right.
know,
I,
it's so exciting. Then you hit the reality of it. You hit the
right.
obstacles, the things that go, oh
Mhm.
God, I didn't expect that, or, you know, whatever. And so, you know, it does a matter of how to get through those periods of time. And actually nothing anymore really stops my process. I have a sort of a disciplined sort of thing that I go through with this. You know, I
That's
will,
what I'm trying to build up.
yeah,
Discipline. It's,
yeah, you know, I will at least an hour a day, you know, engage something, whether it be practicing or whatever. If I'm starting to write a song, I invariably hit a point where I think, this is crap. Why in the hell am I spending all this time with this? Whatever, you know, but I just kind of keep moving, keep pushing through it and just get my butt down and keep
yeah,
working and recognizing that, you know, everything I do isn't made of gold. You know, there's going to be some crappy things and there's going to be some good things, and I just kind of stay disciplined. That's why I don't wait for inspiration, because I might not
yeah.
do I might not do a lot of things.
A lot of what I do is also I'm terrific at starting things and just letting them sit on my desk and ferment.
Yeah,
Half a
yeah,
year later, I'll start up again on
yeah,
something.
that start is exciting. You know, it's like, oh God, a new
Oh
project.
yeah, right, exactly.
You know, within the things that inspire me, if I really get stuck, is I actually look at painting. Painting inspires me. One of my favorite books is called The Artist Studio, and it's photographs of various artist studios like Picasso and Chagall or whatever. And I'll look through that book, and it'll just kind of, there's something about looking at a painter's, an artist studio, that just inspires me. You know, it's so, in fact, if you have photographs of your studio, Ralph, send them to me, because it might inspire the hell out of me. You know, when I start feeling like, oh my God, why am I doing this?
Okay.
I mean, nature would probably be your biggest inspiration too, right?
Nature can, yeah, nature can. I've been really kind of an urban guy, so, you know, I have to kind of teach myself to appreciate nature,
The buildings.
buildings, the sounds, you know, the sounds of the street, you know, things like that, you
Yeah,
know, can certainly inspire me.
wonderful.
Oh, you spoke about reading a book about Picasso or reading about Picasso. I'm right now I'm reading the book Conversations with Picasso, and it has a few pictures, and the writer writes about it's Picasso's studio, how Picasso's studio was back in the 30s.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. It's
But
fascinating looking at various studios. Some are a mess, you know, some are
yeah,
really precisely, each paintbrush looks like it has its place.
right.
You know, it's just kind of fascinating to me and
This
inspiring.
this writer says how messy Picasso was. He had an apartment downstairs below his studio, and his wife kept up the apartment beautifully, but his studio was a mess.
well,
It's pretty funny. Just it's like my place.
I'm really appreciating everything that you shared, both of you, and I think I just have one last question and we can start wrapping it up because we're close to an hour.
Okay.
I don't want to make it too much longer. My last question is, have you had any mystical experiences while creating? And if you have, then please do share. And if not, that's okay too.
What kind of experiences?
Mystical.
Oh, mystical. Just in the past couple of weeks, I've been running. I have a water fountain that I've been running, so
Nice.
so I can hear the water falling, and it's taking me away.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And it gives me something to listen to besides the radio.
Yeah. You know, when I'm deep in it, like writing a new song in particular, I seem to be more attuned to coincidences. You know, things that if I'm writing about something, it's like, wow, that just kind of came to. I'm trying to think of an example. I don't have an example right now, but I think I'm just more attuned to opportunities or things that I'm thinking about or writing. Information just seems to come to me in a way than if I'm just sort of practicing or whatever. So when I'm kind of highly into creating or writing a song, you know, there's these odd little coincidences or synchronicities or something that I just become a little bit more aware of it. And I think it's because when I'm creating, my state of awareness anyway is just so heightened.
Nice. Thank you. That's great. Thanks for sharing.
Exactly. It's one thing I got to say. My awareness of everything when I create, my awareness of everything is greater.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. So I wanted to ask each of you to share with whoever's watching this where they can find more of your work.
I've got a few things on my website, Ralph Parus, artmetal.com.
Okay, thank you. And
Also, I've got a whole bunch of pictures. If you go to the Ralph, if you have my my Facebook page, you can go there and see all the pictures on it.
okay, I'll add all those links to the YouTube video so people can just click on it and they'll get there.
Great.
What about you, Michael?
Okay, you can find me on my webpage. It's kmichaeljoseph.com. You can also find me on Spotify under K. Michael Joseph. Surprise, surprise. You can find me on YouTube under K. Michael Joseph, all streaming places, Apple Music, whatever. It's just K. Michael Joseph. I tried to make it all consistent and easy for folks to find me. And, you know, I play again within a lot of different genres, different styles, different moods, you know, whatever. So if you look me up, you know, don't be afraid to say hi and send me an email too. You can find me on Michael J at kmichaeljoseph.com.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Did you want to play something?
Sure, I would love to. If the sound comes through okay.
Yeah, I don't know how it's gonna come out, but
we'll give it a try. And if it sounds lousy, just cut it. Okay.
So,
okay.
yeah, a couple of minutes and then we'll say bye.
Okay.
I'll stop the recording.
Okay. Okay, this is a piece called Shadows at the Window. This is one of my latest releases, and this will you'll kind of get a sense of, you know, how I create with sort of, you'll hear the piano start with the left hand. That was the bass part of it. The story behind it, usually what I do when I create is I'll mumble, mumble, mumble until a line hits me. The line that hit me in this song was "Let Us Come Undone," and then I created a whole story out of that. It's a story about a night of passion, but also the awareness of impermanence of love. So this is called Shadows at the Window.
Okay, woohoo.
Can you hear okay?
Yes.
Ooh, let us come undone. Let enchantment's fire bring this night to embers. Ooh, let your lace command the softening of my hands, and your sigh breathes tender. Let desire steal the night, bring the pillows to the fire. We make no promise of forever. Will this rapture seal the night? Release your necklace, dim the lights. There are shadows at the window. Ooh, let us come undone in unspoken wants. No tomorrow to remember. Ooh, let time be gone. Let our touch be one till the morning enters. Will this only be one night? The scent of lavender and pine will last long beyond the embers. So this memory holds us tight. Let's toss a trinket in the fire. There are shadows at the window. Let us come undone in enchantment's fire. Bring this night to embers. Ooh, let time be gone. Let our touch be one till the morning enters. We let this rapture seal the night. Release your necklace, dim the lights. There's no promise of forever. Till this memory holds us tight, let's toss a trinket in the fire. There are shadows at the window.
Bravo.
So that's shadows at the window.
Very good.
Thank you. I
Thank
like the Oriental sounds in there too. That was a really nice touch.
Yeah, that's all the texturing comes in after I get the story. The texture has to kind of fit, you know, where the story is, where the story goes. And that's actually the most fun part. You know, once I have and maybe that's true for you too, once, you know, you can get the detail part, in there. Once I have the story and the basics there, then I can really play with it.
Okay, thank you both. Ralph.
Thank you for this opportunity, Susie. And it was very nice to meet you finally.
Yes. Thank you.
You're more than just a Facebook meme.
Oh, and I just called for like an artist forum. Please make sure you participate if you're free on that day.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to see if we can set up a Detroit Art Festival.
Oh.
Yes, I applied for that. Yeah.
It's an initiative, so.
Or I didn't apply for it. I said that I'm interested.
Okay, so can I get to that through your page then?
Yeah.
If I
I'm pretty sure I invited you, but if I didn't, I'll invite you.
Okay.
Take care, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Susie.
care.
Nice, very nice meeting you, Ralph. Very nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Okay. Take care. Thank you. Okay. Bye.